Aubrey Drake Graham, born October 24th, 1986, is a Canadian rapper, singer, and actor. He is credited with popularizing R&B sensibilities in hip-hop music through rap singing, and journalists have referred to him as one of the greatest rappers of all time. Drake first gained recognition as Jimmy Brooks in the CTV teen drama series Degrassi, The Next Generation, 2001-2008, and began his music career by independently releasing the mixtapes Room for Improvement, 2006, Comeback Season, 2007, and So Far Gone, 2009, before signing with Young Money Entertainment. Drake's debut album, Thank Me Later, 2010, debuted atop the Billboard 200 and included his breakthrough hit, Best I Ever Had. He followed it with the albums Take Care, 2011, and Nothing Was the Same, 2013. The former was included on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list. His fourth studio album, Views, 2016, led the Billboard 200 for 13 weeks and spawned his first Billboard Hot 100 chart topper as a lead artist, One Dance, which became the first song to surpass 1 billion streams on Spotify. In 2018, Drake released his fifth studio album, Scorpion, spending 29 weeks atop the Hot 100, with its singles God's Plan, Nice for What, and In My Feelings. Drake's sixth album, Certified Lover Boy 2021, yielded a then-record 9 simultaneous U.S. top 10 entries. His subsequent albums, Honestly Nevermind, Her Loss, both 2022, For All the Dogs 2023, and Some Sexy Songs for You 2025, continued his streak atop the Billboard 200. His next album, Iceman, will release on May 15, 2026. As an entrepreneur, Drake founded the record label OVO Sound, production company Dream Crew, and the fragrance house Better World. In 2013, he became the global ambassador of the Toronto Raptors, joining their executive committee and later obtaining naming rights to their practice facility OVO Athletic Center. In 2016, he began collaborating with Bren Hawking on the bourbon whiskey Virginia Black. Drake is a co-owner of the gaming organization 100 Thieves and heads the OVO fashion label and the Nocta collaboration with Nike Inc. Due to his partnership with Apple Music, he is also credited with the success of the platform. Drake has received widespread media coverage due to his extravagant lifestyle and rap feuds, including with Kanye West and with Kendrick Lamar. Among the world's best-selling music artists, with over 170 million units sold, Drake is also ranked as the highest certified digital singles artist in the United States. His accolades consist of 5 Grammy Awards, 6 American Music Awards, 41 Billboard Music Awards, 2 Brit Awards, and 3 Juno Awards. Billboard named him the Artist of the Decade, 2010s, the highest-grossing hip-hop touring artist, and the 4th greatest pop star of the 21st century. He has achieved 14 Billboard 200 #1 albums, a joint record among male soloists, and 13 Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles, a joint record for a male solo artist. Drake holds further Hot 100 records, including the most top 10 singles, 81, the most top 40 singles, 217, the most charted songs, 359, and the most consecutive weeks on the chart, 431. He additionally has the most #1 singles on the R&B/hip-hop airplay, Hot R&B/hip-hop songs, Hot rap songs, and rhythmic airplay charts. Early life. For high school, Drake attended Forest Hill Collegiate Institute, left, and Vaughan Road Academy, right. Aubrey Drake Graham was born on October 24, 1986 in Toronto, Ontario. His father, Dennis Graham, is an African-American drummer from Memphis, Tennessee, who once performed with musician Jerry Lee Lewis. His mother, Sandra Sandy Graham, nee Sher, is a Canadian Ashkenazi Jew who worked as an English teacher and florist. Graham performed at Club Blue Note in Toronto, where he met Sandra, who was in attendance. Drake is a dual citizen of the United States and Canada, the former derived from Graham. In his youth, he attended a Jewish day school and became a bar mitzvah. Drake's parents divorced when he was 5 years old. After the divorce, he and his mother remained in Toronto. His father returned to Memphis, where he was incarcerated for a number of years on drug-related charges. Graham's limited finances and legal issues caused him to remain in the U.S. until Drake's early adulthood. Prior to his arrest, Graham would travel to Toronto and bring Drake to Memphis every summer. Graham claimed in an interview that Drake's assertions of him being an absent father were embellishments used to sell music, which Drake vehemently denies. Drake was raised in 2 neighborhoods. He lived on Weston Road in Toronto's working-class West End until grade 6 and attended Weston Memorial Junior Public School until grade 4, playing minor hockey with the Weston Red Wings. Drake was a promising right-winger, reaching the Upper Canada College hockey camp, but left at the behest of his mother following a vicious cross-check to his neck during a game by an opposing player. He moved to one of the city's affluent neighborhoods, Forest Hill, in 2000. When asked about the move, Drake replied, "We had a half of a house we could live in. The other people had the top half. We had the bottom half. I lived in the basement. My mom lived on the first floor. It was not big. It was not luxurious. It was what we could afford." At age 10, Drake appeared in a comedic sketch which aired during the 1997 NHL Awards, featuring a riff of Martin Brodeur and Ron Hextall, and their record as being the only goalies to have scored multiple goals. He attended Forest Hill Collegiate Institute for high school and attended Vaughan Road Academy in Toronto's multicultural Oakwood Vaughan neighborhood. Drake described Vaughan Road Academy as not by any means the easiest school to go to. During his teenage years, Drake worked at a now-closed Toronto furniture factory owned by his maternal grandfather, Reuben Scher. Drake said he was bullied at school for his racial and religious background, and upon determining that his class schedule was detrimental to his burgeoning acting career, he dropped out of school. Drake received his high school diploma in October 2012 at age 25. Career: 2001 to 2009, career beginnings. At 15, Drake was introduced to a high school friend's father, an acting agent. He found Drake a role on the Canadian teen drama series Degrassi: The Next Generation, in which Drake portrayed Jimmy Brooks, a basketball star who became physically disabled after he was shot by a classmate. When asked about his early acting career, Drake replied, "My mother was very sick. We were very poor, like broke. The only money I had coming in was from Canadian TV." During his early career, Graham co-formed the R&B duo The Renaissance with singer Melanie Fiona, although not releasing an album. Being musically inspired by Jay-Z and Clips, Drake self-released his debut mixtape, Room for Improvement, featuring Trey Songz and Lupe Fiasco in 2006. Drake described the project as pretty straightforward. During his early career, Graham co-formed the R&B duo The Renaissance with singer Melanie Fiona, although not releasing an album. Being musically inspired by Jay-Z and Clips, Drake self-released his debut mixtape, Room for Improvement, featuring Trey Songz and Lupe Fiasco in 2006. Drake described the project as pretty straightforward, radio-friendly, and not much content to it. Room for Improvement was released for sale only and sold roughly 6,000 copies, for which Drake received $304.04 in royalties. He performed his first concert on August 19, 2006 at the Cool House nightclub as an opening act for Ice Cube, performing for half an hour and earning $100. In 2007, Drake released his second mixtape, Comeback Season. Released from his recently founded October's Very Own label, it spawned the single Replacement Girl featuring Trey Songz. The song sampled Man of the Year by Briscoe, Flo Rida, and Lil Wayne, retaining Lil Wayne's verse. The rapper invited Drake to Houston to join his The Carter 3 tour. On tour, Drake and Lil Wayne recorded multiple songs together, including Ransom, Forever, and a remix to Brand New. In 2009, Drake released his third mixtape, So Far Gone. It was made available for free download through his OVO blog website and featured Lil Wayne, Trey Songz, Omarion, Lloyd, and Bun B. It received over 2,000 downloads in the first 2 hours of release, finding mainstream commercial success from the singles Best I Ever Had and Successful, both gaining platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, with the former also peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. This prompted the mixtape's re-release as an EP, featuring 4 songs from the original, as well as the additions of the songs I'm Going In and Fear. It debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200 and won the Rap Recording of the Year at the 2010 Juno Awards. Due to the success of the mixtape, Drake was the subject of a bidding war from various labels, often reported as one of the biggest bidding wars ever. He had secured a recording contract with Young Money Entertainment on June 29, 2009. Drake joined the rest of the label's roster on the America's Most Wanted tour in July 2009. However, during a performance of Best I Ever Had in Camden, New Jersey, Drake fell on stage and tore the anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee. In 2009, the Nightingale Company, the studio of television producer Debbie Nightingale, announced the development of Us and Them, a television comedy series which would have starred Graham and his Degrassi castmate Mazen El-Fidek, although the series was never completed. 2010 to 2012, musical breakthrough with Thank Me Later and Take Care. Drake at Bumbershoot in 2010. Drake planned to release his debut album, Thank Me Later, in late 2008, but the album's release date was thrice postponed up to June 15, 2010. On March 9, 2010, Drake released the lead single, Over, which peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100, as well as topping the rap songs chart. It received a nomination for Best Rap Solo Performance at the 53rd Grammy Awards. His second single, Find Your Love, became a bigger success. It peaked at number 5 on the Hot 100 and was certified 3 times multi-platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIA. The music video for the single was shot in Kingston, Jamaica, and was criticized by Jamaica's Minister of Tourism, Edmund Bartlett. The third single and fourth singles, Miss Me and Fancy respectively, attained moderate commercial success. However, the latter garnered Drake his second nomination at the 53rd Grammy Awards for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. Thank Me Later was released on June 15, 2010, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200, with sales of over 447,000 copies in its first week. Upon the album's release, 25,000 fans gathered at New York City's South Street Seaport for a free concert hosted by Drake and Hanson, which was later canceled by the police after a near riot ensued due to overflowing crowds. The album became the top-selling debut album for any artist in 2010 and had the highest sales week for any debut album in the 2010s and featured Lil Wayne, Kanye West, and Jay-Z. Drake began his Away From Home tour on September 20, 2010 in Miami, Florida, performing at 78 shows over 4 different legs. It concluded in Las Vegas in November 2010. Due to the tour's success, Drake hosted the first OVO Festival in 2010. Drake had an eco-friendly college tour to support the album. Drake announced his intentions to allow Noah 40 Shabib to record a more cohesive sound on his next album than on Thank Me Later. In November 2010, Drake revealed the title of his next studio album would be Take Care. He sought to expand on the low-tempo, sensuous, and dark sonic aesthetic of Thank Me Later. Primarily a hip-hop album, Drake also attempted to incorporate R&B and pop to create a languid, grandiose sound, Drake performing in 2011.
In January 2011, Drake was in negotiations to join Eva Green and Susan Sarandon as a member of the cast in Nicholas Jarecki's Arbitrage, before ultimately deciding against starring in the movie to focus on the album. Dreams Money Can Buy and Marvin's Room were released on Drake's October's Very Own blog on May 20 and June 9th, respectively. Acting as promotional singles for Take Care, the former was eventually unincluded on the album's final track listing, while Marvin's Room gained 3 times multi-platinum certification by the RIIA, as well as peaking at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100. Headlines was released on August 9th as the album's lead single. It met with positive critical and commercial response, reaching number 13 on the Hot 100, as well as becoming Drake's 10th single to reach the summit of the Billboard Hot Rap Songs. It was eventually certified 4 times multi-platinum in the United States and platinum in Canada. The music video for the single was released on October 2nd. Take Care was released on November 15, 2011, and received generally positive reviews from music critics. It also won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album at the 55th Annual Grammy Awards and achieved great commercial success, eventually being certified 6 times platinum by the RIIA in 2019, with sales for the album marking $2.6 million in the US. The album's third and fourth singles, The Motto and Take Care, were released on November 29, 2011 and February 21, 2012, respectively. Each song achieved commercial success, and The Motto was later credited for popularizing the phrase YOLO in the United States. The music video for Take Care met with widespread acclaim, receiving 4 nominations at the 2012 MTV Video Music Awards, including for Video of the Year. HYIF was the final single to be released from the album and became certified 2 times multi-platinum. On August 5, 2012, Drake released Enough Said, performed by Aaliyah and himself. Originally recorded prior to Aaliyah's 2001 death, Drake later finished the track with producer 40. In promotion of his second album, Drake embarked on the worldwide Club Paradise Tour. It became the most successful hip-hop tour of 2012, grossing over $42 million. He then returned to acting, starring in Ice Age Continental Drift as Ethan. 2013-2015, nothing was the same, and if you're reading this, it's too late. By the Club Paradise Tour's European leg, Drake had begun working on his third studio album, which he said would retain 40 as the album's executive producer, include the influence of British producer Jamie XX, and stylistically differ from Take Care, departing from the ambient production and despondent lyrics previously prevalent. After he won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album at the 55th Annual Grammy Awards on February 10, 2013, Drake announced his third album, Nothing Was the Same, and released its first single. The album's second single, Hold On We're Going Home, was released in August, peaking at number 1 on the Billboard Hot R&B/Hip-Hop Songs chart. Nothing Was the Same was released on September 24, 2013, debuting at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 with 658,000 copies sold in its first week of release. The album debuted atop the charts in Canada, Denmark, Australia, and the United Kingdom. The album also enjoyed generally favorable reviews by contemporary music critics, commending the musical shift in terms of the tone and subject matter, comparing it to Kanye West's 808s and Heartbreak. The album, which sold over 1,720,000 copies in the United States, was further promoted by the Would You Like It tour throughout late 2013 to early 2014. It became the 22nd most successful tour of the year, grossing an estimated $46 million. Drake then returned to acting in January 2014, hosting Saturday Night Live, as well as serving as the musical guest. His versatility, acting ability, and comedic timing were all praised by critics, describing it as what kept him afloat during the tough and murky SNL waters. In late 2014, Drake announced that he began recording sessions for his fourth studio album. On February 12, 2015, Drake released If You're Reading This, It's Too Late onto iTunes with no prior announcement. Despite debate on whether it was an album or a mixtape, its commercial stance quantifies it as his fourth retail project with Cash Money Records, a scheme that was rumored to allow Drake to leave the label. However, he eventually remained with Cash Money, and If You're Reading This, It's Too Late sold over 1 million units in 2015. 2015, 2017, What a Time to Be Alive, Views, and More Life. On July 31, 2015, Drake released 4 singles, Back to Back, Charged Up, Hotline Bling, and Right Hand. On September 20, Drake released a collaborative mixtape with Future, which was recorded in Atlanta in just under a week. What a Time to Be Alive debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, making Drake the first hip-hop artist to have 2 projects reach number 1 in the same year since 2004. It was later certified 2 times multi-platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, for combined sales, streaming, and track sales equivalent of over 2 million units. Drake announced in January 2016 that his 4th studio album would be launched during the spring, releasing the promotional single Summer 16 later that month. The album was originally titled Views from the Six, but was later shortened to Views. Summer 16 debuted at number 6 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and proved controversial. Drake's self-comparisons with more tenured artists divided many critics, who described his self-comparison as goodly brash or conventionally disrespectful. Drake soon released the album's lead singles, Pop Style and the dancehall-infused One Dance, on April 5th. Both debuted within the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100. However, the latter proved more commercially successful, with One Dance being Drake's first #1 single in Canada and the US as a leading artist. The single also became Drake's first #1 single as a lead artist in the United Kingdom and peaked at #1 in many other countries. Views was previewed in London before its premiere a day later. It was released as an Apple Music and iTunes exclusive on April 29th, before being made available to various other platforms later that week. Views would become Drake's most commercially successful album, sitting atop the Billboard 200 for 13 weeks, as well as simultaneously leading the Billboard Hot 100 and the Billboard 200 for 8 weeks. It achieved sextuple platinum status in the US and earned over 1 million album equivalent units in the first week of its release, as well as gaining over 500 million overall streams. Despite its success, critical reception was mixed. The album drew criticism for its length, lack of a cohesive theme, and dearth of artistic challenge. Drake returned to host Saturday Night Live on May 14th, serving as the show's musical guest. Drake and Future then announced the Summer 16 tour to showcase their collective mixtape as well as their respective studio albums. The latter dates of the tour were postponed due to Drake suffering an ankle injury. According to Polestar, the Summer 16 tour was the highest-grossing hip-hop tour of all time, having earned $84.3 million across 56 dates. On July 23rd, Drake announced that he was working on a new project, scheduled to be released in early 2017.
During the 2016 OVO Festival, Kanye West confirmed that he and Drake had begun working on a collaborative album. Soon after, the music video for Child's Play was released. On September 26th, Please Forgive Me was released as an Apple Music exclusive. It ran a total of 25 minutes and featured music from Views. At the 2016 BET Hip Hop Awards, Drake received the most nominations, with 10, winning the awards for Album of the Year and Best Hip Hop Video. Drake later announced the Boy Meets World Tour on October 10. During an episode of OVO Sound Radio, Drake confirmed he would be releasing a project titled More Life, described as a playlist of original music. Drake later secured his second and third Grammy Awards, winning for Best Rap Song Performance and Best Rap Song at the 59th ceremony. Upon release on March 18, 2017, More Life received mostly positive reviews and debuted atop the Billboard 200, earning 505,000 album equivalent units in its first week. It also set a streaming record, becoming the highest ever streamed album in 24 hours, with a total of 89.9 million streams on Apple Music and 61.3 million on Spotify. He later won a record 13 awards at the 2017 Billboard Music Awards in May. By this time, Drake had been present on the Hot 100 chart for 8 consecutive years and had the most recorded entries by a solo artist. Drake hosted the first annual NBA Awards on June 26th and also appeared in the Carter Effect documentary. 2018-2019, Scary Hours, Scorpion, and Care Package returned to television. Drake released a mini EP titled Scary Hours on January 20, 2018, marking Drake's first solo release since More Life. Scary Hours featured the songs Diplomatic Immunity and God's Plan, with the latter debuting at #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100. The song was Drake's first song as a solo artist to reach #1. It also became his first song to be certified Diamond by the RIA, and it is currently tied for the 4th highest certified digital single ever in the US. He was later featured on Blockboy JB's February 2018 debut single, Look Alive. The song's entry on the Hot 100 made Drake the rapper with the most top 10 hits on the Hot 100, with 23. On April 6th, Nice for What, a single from his 5th studio album, was released. It replaced his own God's Plan on the Billboard Hot 100 at #1, making Drake the first artist to have a new #1 debut replace their former #1 debut. He then announced the title of his 5th studio album as Scorpion, with a planned release date of June 2019. I'm Upset was released on May 26th as the album's 3rd single. Scorpion was Drake's longest project, with a runtime of just under 90 minutes. The album broke both the one-day global records on Spotify and Apple Music, as it gained 132.45 million and 170 million plays on each streaming service respectively. It eventually sold 749,000 album equivalent units in its first week of sales, and debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. Drake earned his 6th US #1 with In My Feelings on July 21st. The success of In My Feelings also made Drake the record holder for most #1 hits among rappers. He then appeared on the Travis Scott album Astroworld, featuring uncredited vocals for the song Sicko Mode, which peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Drake announced in July 2018 that he planned to take 6 months to a year to himself to return to television and films, producing the television series Euphoria and Top Boy. He then began the Aubrey and the Three Migos tour with co-headliners Migos on August 12th. This preceded a collaboration with Bad Bunny titled Mia, which featured Drake performing in Spanish. In February 2019, he received his 4th Grammy Award for Best Rap Song for God's Plan at the 61st Annual Grammy Awards. During his speech, producers abruptly cut to a commercial break, leading viewers to speculate they were censoring his speech, during which he criticized the Recording Academy.
a legal representative for the Academy released a statement stating a natural pause led the producers to assume that he was done and cut to commercial, and added the organization offered him an opportunity to return to stage, but he declined. On February 14th, Drake re-released his third mixtape, So Far Gone, onto streaming services for the first time to commemorate its 10-year anniversary. On June 15th, Drake released 2 songs, Omerta and Money in the Grave, on his EP The Best in the World Pack to celebrate the NBA championship win of the Toronto Raptors. On August 2nd, he released the compilation album Care Package, consisting of songs released between 2010 and 2016 that were initially unavailable for purchase or commercial streaming. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 109,000 album equivalent units in its first week of sales. 2019-2021, Dark Lane demo tapes Scary Hours 2 and Certified Lover Boy. Drake released the song War on December 24, 2019, which was widely noted for its UK drill-inspired instrumental. The following day, he revealed that he was in the process of completing his 6th studio album. On April 3rd, he released Toosie Slide with a music video, which features a dance created in collaboration with social media influencer Toosie. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Drake the first male artist to have 3 songs debut at number 1. On May 1st, 2020, Drake released the commercial mixtape Dark Lane demo tapes, with guest appearances from Chris Brown, Future, Young Thug, Fivio Foreign, Playboi Carti, and Sosa Geek. The mixtape is a compilation of new songs and tracks that leaked on the internet. It received mixed reviews and debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 and at number 1 on the UK Albums chart.
Drake also announced that his 6th studio album would be released in the summer of 2020. On August 14th, Laugh Now Cry Later featuring Lil Durk was released, which was intended as the lead single from the upcoming album Certified Lover Boy, but not included on the final track listing. It debuted at number 2 on the Hot 100 and was nominated for Best Rap Song at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards. On his 34th birthday, Drake announced Certified Lover Boy was set to be released in January 2021. This was later pushed back after he sustained a serious knee injury. In January 2021, Drake became the first artist to surpass 50 billion combined streams on Spotify. On March 5th, Drake released an EP titled Scary Hours 2, which includes 3 songs, What's Next, Wants and Needs with Lil Baby, and Lemon Pepper Freestyle with Rick Ross. These 3 songs entered the charts at numbers 1, 2, and 3 respectively, making Drake the first artist to have 3 songs debut in the top 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. He was named Artist of the Decade at the 2021 Billboard Music Awards. Certified Lover Boy was released on September 3, 2021, becoming Drake's 10th number 1 album on the Billboard 200. Every song debuted on the Billboard Hot 100, while the album was the first to chart 9 songs in the top 10, with Way Too Sexy becoming Drake's 9th number 1 single. Certified Lover Boy was nominated for Best Rap Album, and Way Too Sexy was nominated for Best Rap Performance at the 64th Annual Grammy Awards. He was later named Billboard's Top Artist of the Year for 2021, and was the 4th most streamed artist on Spotify for the year, and the most streamed rapper. On December 6th, he withdrew his music for consideration for the Grammys, with multiple outlets noting his contentious relationship with the Recording Academy. Drake accumulated 8.6 billion on-demand streams in 2021, making him the most overall streamed artist of the year in the United States. 1 out of every 131 streams was a Drake song. 2022-2024, Honestly Nevermind, Her Loss, For All the Dogs, Kendrick Lamar Feud, and 100 Gigs. On March 3, 2022, Drake placed 4th on Forbes' ranking of highest-paid rappers of 2021, with an estimated pre-tax income of $50 million. On April 16th, it was calculated Drake generated more streams in 2021 than every song released prior to 1980 combined. His music accumulated 7.91 billion streams, while songs pre-1980 had generated 6.32 billion. Drake was then confirmed as a guest artist on Future's I Never Liked You 2022. One of the songs he featured on, Wait For You, debuted atop the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Drake's 10th number 1 song and making him the 10th act to achieve 10 number 1s. In early May, Drake re-signed with Universal Music Group in a multifaceted deal reported to be worth as much as $400 million, making it one of the largest recording contracts ever. On June 16th, Drake announced his 7th album, Honestly Nevermind, which released a day later. He also announced a 3rd iteration of his Scary Hours EP series. Honestly Nevermind sold 204,000 album-equivalent units in its first week, becoming Drake's 11th U.S. number 1 album, and making him the 5th artist with over 10 number 1 albums, after the Beatles 19, Jay-Z 14, Bruce Springsteen, and Barbra Streisand, both 11. Jimmy Cooks also became Drake's 11th U.S. number 1 song. On July 14th, it was announced Drake would reunite with Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj on a Toronto-exclusive concert series on July 28th, July 29th, and August 1st. After the debut of Staying Alive on the US Billboard Hot 100, it marked the 30th Drake song to reach the top 5 on the chart, breaking a 55-year-old record for most songs to reach the top 5 on the chart, 29, held by the Beatles. Drake refused to submit his music for Grammy consideration for a 2nd consecutive year. On October 22nd, Drake announced Her Loss, a collaborative album with 21 Savage, which would release on October 28th. It was then delayed to November 4 after Drake's longtime producer, 40, was diagnosed with COVID-19. Her Loss debuted atop the Billboard 200, accumulating first-week sales of 404,000 album-equivalent units. 8 of the album's songs debuted in the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, extending Drake's record for most top 10 entries with 67, with a record 49 as a lead artist. On November 15th, Drake was nominated for 4 awards at the 2023 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year for his writing on Beyoncé's Renaissance. In February 2023, Drake was named the most streamed act ever on Spotify. On July 23rd, via an announcement for his poetry book, Titles Ruin Everything, Drake announced his 8th studio album titled For All the Dogs. On September 15th, Drake released the lead single of the album, Slime You Out, featuring SZA. The song charted at number 1 on the US Billboard Hot 100. On October 5th, Drake released the album's second single, 8 AM in Charlotte, on his social media accounts. On September 16th, Drake released For All the Dogs, which debuted atop the Billboard 200, accumulating first-week sales of 402,000 album-equivalent units. The album also debuted 7 tracks in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100, with First Person Shooter featuring J. Cole topping the chart, tying Drake with Michael Jackson for the most solo number 1 songs by a solo male artist. On March 8th, 2024, Drake remixed Act 2 Dated 8 with 4bats, the newest signee to OVO Sound. In 2024, he was involved in a rap feud with Kendrick Lamar, pictured. The majority of the public have declared Kendrick Lamar as the winner of the battle.
On March 22nd, Kendrick Lamar dissed Drake as well as J. Cole on Future and Metro Boomin's song Like That, beginning a feud between them. During this time, there were also other disses toward Drake from Future, A$AP Rocky, and The Weeknd. On April 19th, Drake released Push-Ups after early versions were leaked online as a response track, while also addressing Future and Rick Ross, followed up with Tailor-Made Freestyle later that day. On April 30th, Lamar released a diss track named Euphoria in response, as well as 616 in LA on May 3rd, exclusively on Instagram. That same day, Drake released Family Matters exclusively on YouTube in response. Lamar released Meet the Grams 20 minutes later, and would go on to release Not Like Us the following day. On May 5th, Drake released The Heart Part 6, a reference to Lamar's The Heart song series. On June 4th, Drake appeared on social media personality Snow D4's Wagwan Delilah, a parody of the 2006 Plain White Tee song Hey There Delilah. On August 2nd, Drake appeared as an unannounced guest at the Toronto stop on Party Next Door's tour, and following his performance, he announced a collaborative album with Party Next Door. On August 4th, through the OVO Sound Instagram page, a picture of Drake and Party Next Door captioned Hometown Love was posted, which indicated the album's release. On August 6th, Drake released 3 songs, all part of his 6th extended play 100 Gigs, It's Up featuring 21 Savage and Young Thug, Blue Green Red, and Housekeeping Nose featuring Lotto. The songs were eventually released on streaming services by the end of that month, alongside the songs No Face and Circadian Rhythm, although Blue Green Red was removed from streaming services due to sample clearance issues. 2025 present, Some Sexy Songs for You and Iceman. On January 3rd, 2025, producer Conductor Williams posted the Drake freestyle Fighting Irish on YouTube, but it was quickly removed. The track was interpreted to contain diss references towards LeBron James, with the title possibly being a reference to James's high school mascot. On February 3rd, 2025, Drake announced Some Sexy Songs for You, a collaborative album with Party Next Door, which was released on February 14th, 2025. Some Sexy Songs for You subsequently debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, supplanting GNX by Kendrick Lamar, and tying the Billboard record with Jay-Z and Taylor Swift for most number 1 albums by a solo artist. On February 16th, 2025, it was announced that Drake would be the first artist in history to headline all 3 days at the 2025 Wireless Festival. Drake became the fastest artist to sell out the festival in its history, selling all tickets in minutes. Directly after the festival, he commenced his Some Special Shows for You tour in Europe, including the United Kingdom, which will conclude on September 23rd. He was announced as Toronto's host during the 2026 FIFA World Cup matches, as well as its musical performer.
On July 5th, 2025, Drake released the single What Did I Miss?, which he previewed the night before through his Iceman Episode 1 livestream. As the lead single of his upcoming 9th studio album Iceman, it marks his return to solo material. The singles Which One?, Somebody Loves Me Part 2, and Doghouse were released in 2025 and may be part of the album. He would then promote the album via a sculpture made entirely out of ice blocks placed in a Toronto parking lot, in which its melting would reveal the album's release date. The next day, Drake announced on Instagram that the album will release on May 15th, 2026. Artistry. Influences. Drake has cited several hip-hop artists as influencing his rapping style, including Kanye West, Jay-Z, MF Doom, and Lil Wayne, while also attributing various R&B artists as influential to the incorporation of the genre into his own music, including Aaliyah and Usher. Drake has also credited several dancehall artists for later influencing his Caribbean-inflected style, including Vybz Kartel, whom he has called one of his biggest inspirations. Musical style. Drake has credited Kanye West, left, and Aaliyah, right, as being his biggest musical influences. Drake is considered to be a pop rap artist. While Drake's earlier music primarily spanned hip-hop and R&B, his music has delved into pop and trap since the albums Nothing Was the Same, 2013, and Views, 2016. Additionally, his music has drawn influence from regional scenes, including Jamaican dancehall and UK drill. Drake is known for his egotistical lyrics, technical ability, and integration of personal backstory when dealing with relationships with women. His vocal abilities have been lauded for an audible contrast between typical hip-hop beats and melody, with sometimes abrasive rapping coupled with softer accents, delivered on technical lyricism.
His songs often include audible changes in lyrical pronunciation in parallel with his upbringing in Toronto, and connections with Caribbean and Middle Eastern countries, which include such phrases as ting, touching road, talkin' bosi, and guan and wasi. Most of his songs contain R&B and Canadian hip-hop elements, and he combines rapping with singing. He credits his father with the introduction of singing into his rap mixtapes, which have become a staple in his musical repertoire. His incorporation of melody into technically complex lyrics was supported by Lil Wayne, and has subsequently been a critical component to Drake's singles and albums. Drake's style of R&B is characterized by vacant beats and a rap-song dichotomy, which has also seen incredible mainstream success, spawning several imitators. The lyrical content that Drake deploys is typically considered to be emotional or boastful. However, Drake is often revered for incorporating degrading themes of money, drug use, and women into newer, idealized contexts, often achieving this through his augmentation of the typical meaning of phrases, in which he combines an objective and subjective perspective into one vocal delivery. His songs often maintain tension between pause and pace, tone timbre, and volume and vocal fermata. Drake is credited with innovating what has been referred to as hyper-reality rap, characterized by its focus on themes of celebrity as distinct from the real world. Public image. A wax figure of Drake in Madame Tussauds. Drake's lyrical subject matter, which often revolves around relationships, have had widespread use on social media through photo captions to reference emotions or personal situations. However, this content has incited mixed reception from fans and critics, with some deeming him as sensitive and inauthentic, traits perceived as antithetical to traditional hip-hop culture. He is also known for his large and extravagant lifestyle, including for high-end themed birthday parties. He maintained this image in his early career by renting a Rolls-Royce Phantom, which he was eventually gifted in 2021. He cultivated a reputation as a successful gambler. Between December 2021 and February 2022, he was reported to have made bets of over $1 billion, which included winnings ranging between $354,000 and $7 million. However, some of the forms of gambling he promotes, such as roulette, have negative expected values. The Washington Post editor Maura Judkis credits Drake for popularizing the phrase YOLO in the United States with his single The Motto, which stands for You Only Live Once. Drake later popularized the term The Six in 2015 in relation to his hometown, Toronto, subsequently becoming a point of reference to the city. June 10th was declared Drake Day in Houston. In 2016, Drake visited Drake University after a show in Des Moines in response to an extensive social media campaign by students that began in 2009, advocating for his appearance. According to a report from Confused.com, Drake's Toronto home was one of the most Googled homes in the world, recording over 1 million annual searches in 2021. Its features, such as its NBA-size indoor basketball court and Kohler Numi toilet, have also received widespread media attention. The music video for Hotline Bling went viral due to Drake's eccentric dance moves. The video has been remixed, memed, and was heavily commented on due to the unconventional nature on the song, causing it to gain popularity on YouTube and spawning several parodies. Drake has also been critiqued for his expensive, product-placement-heavy attire, exemplified by the video for Hotline Bling. Drake modeled a $1,500 Moncler puffer jacket, a $400 Acne Studios turtleneck, and limited-edition Timberland 6-inch classic boots. He was labeled by GQ magazine as one of the most stylish men alive. During promotion for Certified Lover Boy, Drake debuted a heart haircut, which became popular and widely imitated. Writing for GQ, Anish Patel noted Drake's consistent incorporation of styles and themes not typically associated with hip-hop, such as wearing gorpcore in the music video for his song Sticky. Since 2016, Drake has been noted for an alleged Drake curse, an internet meme based on the incidents where he appears to be supportive of a particular sports team or person just for that team or person to lose, often against the odds. In 2016, Drake discussed the shooting of Alton Sterling, publishing an open letter expressing his concern for the safety of ethnic minorities against police brutality in the United States. In 2021, he joined a group of Canadian musicians to work with the Songwriters Association of Canada, SAC, to lobby Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to restructure the country's copyright law to allow artists and their families to regain ownership of copyrights during their lifetime. He also campaigned for the expansion of a Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, franchise in Toronto, and headlined a benefit concert at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum with Kanye West on December 9, 2021, to raise clemency for Larry Hoover, although his solo performance was later removed from the Prime Video replay. On October 20, 2023, Drake expressed solidarity with the people of Palestine amid the Gaza war. He joined a coalition of actors, filmmakers, and artists in signing the Artists for Ceasefire open letter, which called for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. The letter stated, "We believe all life is sacred, no matter faith or ethnicity, and we condemn the killing of Palestinian and Israeli civilians." Impact. A prominent figure in pop culture, Drake is often praised one of the most influential figures in hip-hop. Particularly, his use of rap singing has been noted as an influence on modern rappers. He is widely credited for popularizing the Toronto sound to the music industry and leading the Canadian invasion, a play on the British invasion in the 1960s, of the American charts, alongside the likes of Justin Bieber and The Weeknd. In 2022, music recognition app Shazam revealed Drake to be their most searched artist by users, with music featuring Drake collecting 350 million recognitions. His 2016 single, One Dance, collected 17 million recognitions alone. In 2018, articles by The Guardian and Rolling Stone called him the definitive pop star of his generation, and perhaps the biggest post-Justin Timberlake male pop star of the new millennium, respectively. In 2018, he was reportedly responsible for 5%, CAD $440 million, of Toronto's CAD $8.8 billion annual tourism income. The Insider declared Drake the artist of the decade, 2010s. Regarding the general view that Drake introduced singing in mainstream hip-hop, the publication said that at the height of autotune and hip-hop during the late 2000s, there were virtually no artists who were both a legit rapper and a legit crooner who delivered velvety smooth pop R&B hybrid vocals that could exist separately from his hip-hop songs. Commenting on Drake's Take Care, Elias Light of Rolling Stone noticed in 2020 that now nearly every singer raps and nearly every rapper sings, as many artists have borrowed or copied the template of the album, that the boldness of the original is easily forgotten, according to the writer.
Aaron Williams of Uproxx added jump-starting the sad boy rapper craze alongside Kid Cudi and helping to renew stateside interest in UK grime and Caribbean dancehall with Skepta, Party Next Door, and Rihanna to the modern trends Drake assisted. BBC Radio 1 Extra argued that his cosigns helped push the British hip-hop scene to a wider international market, as he did with the Toronto music scene. According to CBS Music in 2019, Drake has inspired the next wave of artists coming out of his hometown. Writing for Bloomberg, Lucas Shaw commented Drake's popularity has influenced the promotion of music, with Certified Lover Boy attaining large commercial success despite relatively minimal orthodox marketing techniques, stating, "Fans are consuming Drake's music in a way that is different to others." He also noted the album as novel in relation to consumption, with each song having relatively equivalent streams, as opposed to a dominant singles. Justin Charity of The Ringer noted Drake's signature of producing half-hearted performances on songs to create a natural and off-the-cuff effect has become the obvious touchpoint for subsequent male R&B singers. Charity further wrote, Drake's success in the genre is so thorough that it's all but impossible to hear certain vintages of R&B without hearing Drake. Beginning in 2022, Drake's music was canonized academically by Toronto Metropolitan University, which began teaching courses titled Deconstructing Drake and the Weekend, with the pair's music used to explore themes related to the Canadian music industry, race, class, marketing, and globalization. With the release during LGBT Pride Month of his seventh album, Honestly Nevermind 2022, Mark Savage of the BBC wrote Drake's exploration of house, a genre with overt origins in black and queer spaces, would help build a bridge to those origin subcultures for younger music listeners. Achievements.
Drake is the highest certified digital singles artist ever in the United States, having moved 142 million units based on combined sales and on-demand streams. His highest certified single is God's Plan, 15 times platinum, followed by Hotline Bling and One Dance, which are certified diamond. Drake was Spotify's most streamed artist of the 2010s. He holds several Billboard Hot 100 chart records. He has the most charted songs of any artist, 359. The most top 10 hits, 81, the most top 10 debuts, 64, the most top 10 singles in a calendar year, 13, the most cumulative weeks in the top 10, 387, the most songs peaking at number 2, 12, 13 including his appearance as a member of Young Money on Bedrock, the most weeks spent at number 1 in a calendar year, 29 weeks, and the most consecutive weeks spent on the chart, 431 weeks. He has accumulated 13 number 1 songs, 14 including his uncredited feature on Sicko Mode, a joint record for a male solo artist alongside Michael Jackson. In 2021, Drake became second act after the Beatles in 1964 to simultaneously occupy the entire Hot 100's top 5 and the first to simultaneously chart 9 songs in the top 10. He also has the most number 1 songs on the Hot Rap Songs, 23, Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs, 23, and Hot R&B Hip Hop Airplay. He's also the only artist to have 2 albums log 400 weeks each on the Billboard 200. As of 2021, Drake has won 4 Grammy Awards from 47 nominations. He has also won a record 29 Billboard Music Awards. In 2017, he surpassed Adele's record for most wins at the Billboard Music Awards in one night, winning 13 awards from 22 nominations. He was named Artist of the Decade at the 2021 Billboard Music Awards. Billboard editor Ernest Baker stated, Drake managed to rule hip-hop in 2014. Adding, the best rapper in 2014 didn't need a new album or hit single to prove his dominance. From 2015 to 2017, Drake ranked within the top 5 of the Billboard year-end chart for top artists, before topping it in 2018. He was named the IFPI Global Recording Artist of 2016 and 2018. Pitchfork ranked Nothing Was the Same as the 41st best album of the decade so far, between 2010 and 2014, and ranked in 5th in the publication's list of the top 10 music artists since 2010. Take Care was ranked at number 95 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time 2020. He has been ranked by Complex on their Best Rapper Alive every year since 1979, awarding Drake the accolade in 2011, 2012, and 2015. Legal issues. In 2012, singer Erykah Lee filed a lawsuit against Drake for the usage of her voice on Marvin's Room. Claiming to have provided the female vocals, Lee also alleged she was owed songwriting credits and royalties. Despite Drake's legal team countering by claiming that Lee simply requested a credit in the liner notes of the album, the matter was resolved in February 2013, with both parties agreeing to an out-of-court settlement. Also in 2012, Drake caused a nightclub in Oklahoma City to close down due to his usage of marijuana and other illegal drugs being prevalent at the club. In 2014, Drake was sued for $300,000 for sampling Jimmy Smith Rap, a 1982 single by jazz musician Jimmy Smith. The suit was filed by Smith's estate, who said Drake never asked for permission when sampling it for the intro on Pound Cake/Paris Morton Music 2, claiming Smith himself would have disagreed as he disliked hip-hop. Drake would win the lawsuit in 2017, with federal judge William Pauley ruling the content used was transformative, and there was no liability for copyright infringement. Also in 2014, it emerged that Drake was sued by rapper Rappin' 4-Tay, claiming Drake misused his lyrics when collaborating with YG on the song Who Do You Love? He sought $100,000 for mistreatment and artistic theft, which Drake paid to the rapper later that year. In December 2021, Drake sued jeweler Ori Vetchler and his company Gemma Ltd. For incorrectly using his likeness in promotional material. He also sought to return 3 items he purchased. In December 2022, a lawsuit brought by rapper Angelou Skywalker, who alleged that Drake stole his song Reach for Skies to make Way Too Sexy, was dismissed following repeated misconduct by Skywalker against prosecutors and U.S. District Judge Colleen Collar-Cotterly, who presided over the case. Skywalker was accused of filing no less than 50 irrelevant motions and was handed a restraining order, preventing contact with Drake. In 2017, Drake was embroiled in another lawsuit, being sued by producer Detail, Noel Fisher, over an alleged assault in 2014. Fisher claimed Drake's bodyguard, Nestle Chubbs Beezer, punched him in the face and allegedly broke his jaw over musical and financial disputes. Fisher also said the injuries caused him to be hospitalized for days and had to undergo several surgeries, following which he sued for damages related to medical bills and physical and emotional suffering. The case, which was set to undergo trial in May 2018, was dismissed by Superior Court Judge Elaine Liu after Fisher failed to show up for a final status conference. Liu ruled that Beezer solely acted in self-defense. In January 2019, Drake, Odell Beckham Jr., and Eunice Benjima were sued by a man named Bennett Sipes in regards to an alleged assault that occurred outside of an LA nightclub in 2018. Sipes claims he suffered traumatic brain injury, as well as injuries to his back, neck, shoulders, etc. on March 24, 2018, when he was attacked by Benjima, as well as members of Drake and Beckham's entourages in an alley near the nightclub, and sought $250,000 in damages. The suit alleges followed the respective crews to the alley to watch Sipes get attacked. A video of the incident was recorded using the on-site surveillance system. The suit was eventually settled out of court. In 2019, Drake paid a $350,000 settlement to a woman who alleged that he sexually assaulted her. Drake denied the allegations. In October 2021, Drake and Chris Brown were sued by Brandon Cooper and Timothy Valentine for copyright infringement between No Guidance and their own song I Love Your Dress, but Drake was dropped by Cooper and Valentine from the lawsuit in April 2022. Drake was handed another copyright lawsuit from Samuel Nicholas, citing infringement from Drake's In My Feelings and Nice for What. That November, he was named co-defendant with Travis Scott in a multi-claimant lawsuit for inciting a riot and violence at the Astroworld Festival, to which he released a statement. He reportedly delayed the release of Splash Brothers, a collaboration with French Montana, as a result. In November 2024, Drake initiated a legal petition against Universal Music Group, UMG, the parent company of Republic Records, with whom Drake has a recording contract, and Spotify, alleging they conspired to artificially inflate the number of streams of the diss track Not Like Us during Drake's feud with Kendrick Lamar earlier that year by implementing pay-to-play schemes, malicious bots, and other tactics. Drake withdrew the petition on January 14, 2025, and filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York a day later, alleging defamation against UMG for promoting Not Like Us. In February, UMG filed to pause discovery until their motion to dismiss the case is heard on June 30. On April 3rd, Judge Jeanette Vargas ordered for discovery to continue, resulting in access to contracts between UMG and Lamar, as well as salaries and incentive plans for senior record label staff going back to 2020, being handed over to Drake. On April 18th, Drake expanded the lawsuit against UMG by also alleging defamation by Lamar's halftime performance of Not Like Us at Super Bowl LIX. The suit was dismissed in October 2025, with the court finding the allegedly defamatory statements to be non-actionable opinion. A lawsuit against Drake, internet personality Aiden Ross, and online casino Stake was filed in federal court in Missouri on October 27, 2025. The filing alleges that Drake and Ross illegally misled viewers during gambling live streams by presenting stake-funded bets as personal wagers. A second lawsuit was filed against Drake, Ross, and Stake's parent company Sweepstakes in New Mexico on October 30th, making the same allegations. Another lawsuit against Drake, Ross, Stake, Sweepstakes, and Australian national George Nguyen, alleging that Drake funneled stake money to Nguyen in exchange for artificially boosted numbers on music streaming services, was filed in federal court in Virginia on December 31st, 2025. Feuds and public disputes.
Drake and Chris Brown were allegedly involved in a physical altercation in June 2012 when Drake and his entourage threw glass bottles at Brown in a Soho nightclub in Manhattan, New York City. Chris Brown tweeted about the incident and criticized Drake in music until 2013, including on the R.I.P. remix. In 2014, he and Brown both appeared in a comedic skit for the ESPY Awards and rehearsed the skit together prior to the televised airing, virtually ending the dispute. The pair later collaborated on the Diamond-certified No Guidance in 2019. The Drake-Kendrick Lamar feud was identified by media outlets from 2013, alleging several songs to be sneak disses by both parties. Lamar first dissed Drake and other rappers on the song Control in 2013, but stated his verse was intended to be seen as friendly competition. Drake and Lamar previously collaborated on songs, and Lamar featured as Drake's opening act on the Club Paradise tour in 2012. Lamar dissed Drake and J. Cole in 2024, with Drake and J. Cole's 2023 song First Person Shooter alleged to be a sneak diss. Drake responded on the song's Push-Ups and Tailor-Made Freestyle, of which Lamar responded with Euphoria and 616 in L.A. Drake then released Family Matters, accusing Lamar of domestic abuse and alleging one of Lamar's children was fathered by Dave Free. Lamar first replied with Meet the Grams, accusing Drake of sex crimes and fathering a secret child, and then with Not Like Us, accusing Drake of pedophilia and anti-black sentiment. Drake responded with The Heart Part 6, denying Lamar's accusations and claiming he gave Lamar false information about the secret child. In December 2014, Drake was involved in another altercation, being punched by Puff Daddy outside the nightclub Live in Miami Beach. The altercation was reported to be over Drake's usage of the instrumental for 0 to 100 / The Catch-Up, allegedly produced by Boy One Da for Puff Daddy, before Drake appropriated it for himself. Drake was rushed to the ER after aggravating an old arm injury during the dispute. Drake was also involved in a feud with Tyga, stemming from Tyga's negative comments about him during an interview with Vibe magazine. Drake would later respond on 6 God and 6 p.m. in New York, which has been interpreted as directly involved in Tyga's abrupt removal from Young Money Entertainment.
Controversy arose in July 2015 when Meek Mill alleged that Drake had used ghostwriters for his verse on RICO. This was followed by further allegations that Drake did not help promote the song because Meek Mill discovered the ghostwriter, whom he revealed to be Quentin Miller. Despite Miller receiving past writing credits, Funkmaster Flex aired reference tracks by Miller, who was revealed to have helped write RICO, 10 Bands, and Know Yourself. This prompted Drake to respond with 2 diss tracks, Charged Up and Back to Back, in the space of 4 days. Meek Mill responded with Wanna Know before removing it from SoundCloud weeks later. Following several subliminal disses from either artist, Drake further sought to denounce Funkmaster Flex while performing in New York, Flex's home state, on the Summer 16 tour. After Meek Mill's 2017 prison sentence for probation violation, Drake stated Free Meek Mill at a concert in Australia and ended their rivalry on Family Feud in 2018. The pair later collaborated on Going Bad in 2019. Pusha T would use the same rationale to diss Drake on Infrared in 2018, leading Drake to respond with the Duppy freestyle diss track on With the Story of Adidon on May 29, which presented several claims and revealed Drake's fatherhood. The pair are considered to have been in a rivalry since 2012, resulting from Pusha T's feuds with Lil Wayne and Birdman, with Drake yet to respond to The Story of Adidon. Drake has been involved in reported feuds with DMX, music critic Anthony Fantano, Common, The Weeknd, XXXTentacion, Jay-Z, Tory Lanez, and Ludacris, although the latter 3, as well as his feud with DMX, have been reported to be resolved. Business ventures. Endorsements. Prior to venturing into business, Drake garnered several endorsement deals with various companies, notably gaining One Left Sprite following his mention of drinking Purple Trank, a concoction that contains Sprite as a key ingredient. Business magazine Forbes commented his endorsement deals and business partnerships combined heavily for Drake's reported pre-tax earnings at $94 million between June 2016 to June 2017, being one of the highest paid celebrities during that period. Drake receives an endorsement of $100 million per annum from the gambling firm Stake.com as an ambassador of the online casino. The partnership with Stake.com has created the Drake effect, which has increased the company's awareness. In January 2022, Drake owns Stake's 2-year naming sponsorship of the Sober Formula One F1 Racing team, which began in 2024. OVO Sound.
During the composition of Nothing Was the Same, Drake started his own record label in late 2012 with producer Noah 40 Shabib and business partner Oliver El Khatib.
Drake sought for an avenue to release his own music, as well helping in the nurturing of other artists, while Shabib and El Khatib yearned to start a label with a distinct sound, prompting the trio to team up to form OVO Sound. The name is an abbreviation derived from the October's very own moniker Drake used to publish his earlier projects. The label is currently distributed by Warner Bros. Records. Drake, 40, and Party Next Door were the label's inaugural artists. The label houses artists including Drake, Party Next Door, Majid Jordan, Roy Woods, and DVSN, as well as producers including 40, Boy Wonder, 1985, and Future the Prince, Toronto Raptors. On September 30, 2013, at a press conference with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment CEO Tim Leiweke, Drake was announced as the new global ambassador of the Toronto Raptors, joining the executive committee of the NBA franchise. It was announced together with the 2016 NBA All-Star Game being awarded to the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. This was also the setting where Drake was given the key to the city. In the role, it was announced that Drake would help to promote and serve as a host of festivities, beginning with the All-Star Game. He would also provide consulting services to rebrand the team, helping to redesign its image and clothing line in commemoration of the franchise's 20th anniversary. He also collaborated with the Raptors on pre-game practice jerseys, t-shirts, and sweatsuits, and began hosting an annual Drake Night segment with the organization, beginning in 2013. Entertainment. Apple Music. Following the launch of Apple Music, a music and video streaming service developed by Apple Inc., the company announced Drake as the figurehead for the platform at their Worldwide Developers Conference in 2015, with the artist also penning an exclusivity deal with the service worth a reported $19 million. This saw all future solo releases by Drake becoming available first on Apple Music, before seeing rollout to other streaming services and music retailers. Drake had also developed the OVO Sound radio station on Beats One, which is utilized as the primary avenue for debuting singles and projects, with the station overseeing over 300 million unique users when it debuted More Life. Drake's partnership with Apple Music has largely been credited for the platform's sharp success, as it attained 10 million subscribers after 6 months, as well as giving birth to exclusivity from artists, with many independent and signed artists such as Frank Ocean and The Weeknd also brokering exclusivity deals with streaming services. Through signing with the company, Drake was one of the artists alongside Pharrell and Katy Perry to exclusively own an Apple Watch before the smartwatch saw public release. Dream Crew and Investments.
In 2017, Drake and Adele Future Nur co-founded the production company Dream Crew, with functions in both management and entertainment. The company has produced the television series Euphoria and Top Boy. Their debut-produced film was sports documentary The Carter Effect, detailing the impact of Vince Carter in Canada. On August 5, 2022, Drake was among those nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Drama Series for acting as a producer on Euphoria. In July 2021, Drake was announced as an executive producer, alongside LeBron James and Maverick Carter, for Black Ice, a documentary film charting the experiences of Black and ethnic minority professional and amateur ice hockey players. It is due to be produced by Uninterrupted Canada in partnership with Drake's Dream Crew Entertainment, James Springhill Company, and Bell Media. Dream Crew also began production on the unscripted survival series Chillin' Island in 2021, due to air on HBO. In June 2021, Live Nation confirmed a long-standing partnership with Drake to open History, a 2,500 convertible capacity live entertainment and general function venue in Toronto. It was in development for over 3 years and is situated in the Beaches. He also aided in the venue's interior design, which contains LED screens, soundproofing, quick change rooms, and a customizable staircase. In November 2022, Dream Crew invested near $100 million to revive the open-air museum and amusement park Luna Luna, originally staged in Hamburg. It is set to go on a worldwide tour, with Drake stating, "Luna Luna is such a unique and special way to experience art. This is a big idea and opportunity that centers around what we love most, bringing people together."
Drake signed as an investor and collaborator with Los Angeles-based sustainability and financial services startup Aspiration. He will also use the company's enterprise services to monitor and ensure personal carbon neutrality. He is also invested in robo-advisor Wealthsimple, the live streaming video commerce platform NTWR, the cannabis provider Bullrider, and several sports-related ventures, including online esports betting platform Players Lounge, the sports tech firm Status Pro, and online sports network Overtime. In an analysis by Brennan Doherty for Toronto Star, Drake's investment carry all the hallmarks typical of musicians, which is often momentum investing, and cited Jason Pereira, who described Drake's business deals as typically angel investing and private equity, often venture capital funds. Pereira also noted his leveraging his personal brand to generate cash. On August 3, 2022, it was reported that Drake and LeBron James, as part of the investment fund Main Street Advisors, would partner with U.S. private equity group Redbird Capital and Yankee Global Enterprises to purchase Italian soccer club AC Milan for a rumored $1.2 billion. As a minority shareholder in the club, he is one of a group of investors who hold a 0.07% stake. Drake has also invested in cryptocurrency and NFT payment solutions firm MoonPay. 100 Thieves. In 2018, Drake purchased an ownership stake in the gaming organization 100 Thieves, joining as a co-founder and co-owner. The investment was partly funded by music executive Scooter Braun and Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert. Cuisine. 2 months prior to the release of Views, Drake announced the development of Virginia Black, a bourbon whiskey. This would be his second foray into selling foodstuffs, previously partnering with celebrity chef Suzer Lee to open Fring's restaurant, and Antonio Park to open the sports bar Pick 6, both in Toronto and eventually closed. Virginia Black was created and distributed by Proximo Spirits and Brent Hawking, a spirits producer who founded De Leon Tequila in 2008. The company described the partnership as fruitful, as they share a passion for style, music, and the pursuit of taste on a quest to redefine whiskey. In 2021, using ratings compiled from Vivino and complimentary website Distiller, Virginia Black was ranked the worst value celebrity liquor for quality and price. The product was launched in June 2016 and contained 2-, 3-, and 4-year-old bourbon whiskeys. The company sold over 4,000 bottles in the first week domestically. The brand was also promoted and marketed through Drake's music and various tours, such as being part of the Virginia Black VIP Lounge additional package available for purchase during the Summer 16 tour. Virginia Black shipped a further 30,000 units when rollout was extended to select international markets in late 2016. The company later aired commercials with Drake's father, Dennis Graham, which featured the mock tagline of "The realest dude ever," in reference toward the most interesting man in the world tagline employed by Dos Equis, after extending the sale of the drink to Europe in 2017. In 2019, Drake began collaborating with Hawking on Mod Selection, a luxury range of champagne, and in May 2021 formed part of a $40 million Series B investment funding round led by D1 Capital Partners in Daring Foods Inc., a vegan meat analog corporation. That September, he purchased a minority stake in Californian food chain Dave's Hot Chicken and organized a promotion on October 24, 2022 to give away free chicken to Toronto residents on his 36th birthday. Fashion. In December 2013, Drake announced he was signing with Nike and Air Jordan, saying, "Growing up, I'm sure we all idolized Michael Jordan. I am officially inducted into the Team Jordan family." Drake also released his own collection of Air Jordans dubbed the Air Jordan OVOs. This foresaw collaborations between OVO and Canada Goose, in which various items of clothing were produced. In 2020, a bathing ape announced a collaboration with Drake, releasing an OVO X Babe collection of clothing, while he also partnered with candle manufacturer Revolve to create Better World Fragrance, a line of scented candles.
In December 2020, Drake announced Nocta, a sub-label with Nike. In a press release, Drake said, "I always felt like there was an opportunity for Nike to embrace an entertainer the same way as athletes," he wrote. "To be associated with the highest level possible was always my goal." The apparel line is named after Drake's nocturnal creative process, in which Nike described as a collection for the collective and noted by GQ as fashion-forward, minimal-inspired sportswear. One clothing item features an image of Drake's muses, Elizabeth and Victoria Leonyarta, with a poem. After the first collection sold out, another was released in February 2021, which introduced t-shirts, adjustable caps, a utility vest, and a lightweight jacket. That July, OVO released the Weekender collection, which includes a line of hoodies, velour sweatsuits, t-shirts, shorts, and accessories for women. OVO then released a winter survival collection that December, which included puffer jackets, vests, and parkas made with 700 fill down and Okotex certified down feathers. They followed this with limited Jurassic Park themed collection and an indoor footwear collaboration with Suyoke, as well as a Playboy collaborated capsule collection. In July 2022, a capsule inspired by and in collaboration with Mike Tyson was released, featuring both blouson jackets and caps. In conjunction with Spotify's 12-year $540 million sponsorship deal with FC Barcelona, the club wore special edition OVO Al Silhouette branded jerseys in their El Clasico match against Real Madrid CF on October 16, 2022. OVO then partnered with former professional ice hockey player Ty Domi and fashion retailer Roots Canada to release a capsule collection on October 28th, matching Domi's jersey number for the New York Rangers and Toronto Maple Leafs. A capsule collection was later released in collaboration with the Maple Leafs in November. Personal life, health and residences. A Boeing 767-200 airplane similar to the one Drake acquired in 2020. Drake lives in the Bridle Path in a 35,000-square-foot, $100 million estate nicknamed the Embassy, which was built from the ground up in 2017 and is seen in the video to his song Tootsie Slide.
He owned a home nicknamed the YOLO Estate in Hidden Hills, California from 2012 to 2022, and bought a Beverly Crest home in 2022 from Robbie Williams for $70 million. He owns a condominium adjacent to the CN Tower. He also owns a Boeing 767, and in 2021 rented a $65 million multi-purpose property in Beverly Hills.
Drake has a variety of tattoos, some of which are symbols associated with personal accomplishments, such as a jack-o'-lantern, October Leonhardt, owls, and a controversial Abbey Road 1969-inspired depiction of himself in the Beatles. He has portraits of Lil Wayne, Sade, Aaliyah, Jesus Malverde, Denzel Washington, 40, his parents, grandmother, maternal uncle, and son, and several related to Toronto, including the CN Tower and the number 416. On August 18, 2021, Drake revealed he contracted COVID-19 amidst the pandemic, which led to temporary hair loss. He was also one of the first celebrities to publicly test for the virus in March 2020. He contracted the disease again in 2022, causing the postponement of reunion concerts with Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj. Family and relationships. Drake's paternal uncles are musicians Larry Graham and Teenie Hodges. Larry Graham was a member of Sly and the Family Stone, while Hodges contributed to songs for Al Breen, including Love and Happiness, Here I Am, Come and Take Me, and Take Me to the River. He dated Essa between 2008 and 2009, and in 2011 reports emerged that he was dating Serena Williams. Drake was in an on-again, off-again relationship with Rihanna from 2009 to 2016. He has mentioned the relationship in every one of his studio albums, and when presenting Rihanna with the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award in 2016, he said, "She's a woman I've been in love with since I was 22 years old." On his relationship with her, he said on the talk show The Shop, "As life takes shape and teaches you your own lessons, I end up in this situation where I don't have the fairy tale of Drake started a family with Rihanna. It's so perfect. It looks so good on paper, and I wanted it too at one time." Drake is a father to a son, who was born on October 11, 2017, to French painter and former model Sophie Brousseau. Brousseau's pregnancy was the subject of several rumors after featuring in a TMZ article in early 2017. After the nature of the pair's relationship was discussed in Pusha T's The Story of a Didon, Drake confirmed his fatherhood on the album Scorpion in 2018. Discography, main articles, Drake albums discography and Drake singles discography. Solo studio albums, Thank Me Later 2010, Take Care 2011, Nothing Was the Same 2013, Views 2016, Scorpion 2018, Certified Lover Boy 2021, Honestly Nevermind 2022, For All the Dogs 2023, Iceman 2026. Collaborative studio albums, Her Loss with 21 Savage 2022, Some Sexy Songs for You with Party Next Door 2025, Tours, Headlining, Away From Home Tour 2010, Club Paradise Tour 2012, Would You Like a Tour 2013 through 2015, Boy Meets World Tour 2017, Assassination Vacation Tour 2019, Anita Maxwin Tour 2025, Co-headlining, America's Most Wanted Tour with Young Money 2009, Drake vs. Lil Wayne with Lil Wayne 2014, Summer 16 Tour with Future 2016, Aubrey and the Three Migos Tour with Migos 2018. It's All a Blur Tour with 21 Savage and J. Cole, 2023-2024. Some special shows for you with Party Next Door, 2025.